Reveille.
Look at us now, tip to tip.
Ooh, Jesus.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
Come to us, doing what we love. It's time to bang. Oh, yeah, right. We're talking about real talk like the men do. Welcome on in. Hey, it's UFC 316 pregame preview, and this is Morning Kombat. Brian Campbell, my typical co-host from DC, Luke Thomas, but special here by way of Sportsnet, making his, I don't want to say in-person MK debut because you did appear at the Three Margarita
That's
show.
right.
Never forget.
I was there for You Want a Margarita in person.
But Aaron Bronsteter of Canadian fame, of vinyl fame, great to have you here. Welcome to what we got going on here.
I do want to clear one thing up that was mentioned, I guess, last week. So when I was on with Luke, he asked me if I was more of a mathlete or an athlete when I was in high school.
We heard varsity athlete.
And you've been like looming on this for a long time. So I'll break this down mathematically for you. I failed math in grade 10 and 11. So I was terrible at math. So really any athletic endeavor that I would have done in high school would have been better.
Look at the screen.
Yeah,
Brian,
yeah. I mean, as you can see.
look at the
hitting the gym.
namer on the
I had
screen.
to take time away from the gym. They're a self-proclaimed former varsity athlete, but I never proclaimed it. So I played like pickup basketball and like road hockey. So those athletic endeavors to me made me more of an athlete than a mathlete because I had failed math.
Were you hot
occasions.
as a pistol from beyond?
Yeah, I could shoot.
Did your school have minorities?
Okay, all right.
Well, I mean, do you consider Jewish people minorities? Because if so, we were like 85% minorities.
Not like typically NBA ready in that particular. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to like a high school like I went to, and it's tough. It's tough sledding.
Bautista, baby.
On that subject, when I went for summer school, because I failed math twice, like I mentioned many times before this, I went to Vaughan Secondary School, which is where Andrew Wiggins played basketball.
Nice.
So I mean, I was athlete adjacent.
Okay, very good.
All right, we'll get more into that later.
Well, it's nice to see you. Welcome here.
It is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. As I mentioned, we're a few days out from just down the road in River from here in Newark, New Jersey. And if you're going to travel there, please use Newark Penn Station. Luke Thomas sent you.
You know the good part about Newark Penn Station? Like, everywhere's a toilet.
Yeah.
Like,
it's very
you don't have to walk
to
the toilet. You just go. That's what you do.
You don't say, sir, where's the bathroom?
They just look around.
Yeah, exactly.
There's piss everywhere.
And today's episode of Morning Kombat is, of course, presented to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown
Friends at DraftKings.
is yours. Also, folks, this is pregame preview with our friends from Cuervo. So, Luke, we should probably indoctrinate this episode and Braun into our way of
life. It's
not
not what the word indoctrinate means, but I'll run.
Infestate?
Infestate is not a proper word either. I don't
Where
think
I
it's
come from?
proper conjugation.
Anyway, when you can get a little Cuervo Blanco in your life, you should. That's where I'm talking about, especially when real men are going to get together and do this.
Now, I heard a certain someone is going to chicken out of
the
this.
not real man.
Yeah. It's going to chicken. Why can't you booze?
Well, because I'm doing an interview with Sean O'Malley directly after this.
You should show up to work smelling like piss. That's what you should do.
So I should head over to Newark Penn Station. That's where I should send my Uber after this.
Okay, you talk all that shit about how I'm not shooting, and you're pouring half shots.
Oh, dude, this is a double shot.
That's not a fucking double shot. It's a single shot.
Hey, 3 margaritas. Let's go.
But how do you get a double shot into one shot glass?
You don't. That's my point.
Okay, I'm gonna go full. I'm going all in.
You can talk that shit. You got to back it up at least a little bit.
I'm not the one chasing it.
I am chasing.
Okay,
I don't talk that shit. I don't talk that shit. I have my lane, and it's the pussy lane, and I'm just going to live in it. Hey, why don't you pour more on the desk, you fucking moron?
Well, I'll enjoy my grapefruit-infused water from this bougie studio you guys have.
Hey, is weed legal in Canada? What's this? Yes, it is, right? It has to be, yeah.
What about tariffs, Aaron? Okay, so we're going to now...
You sound like my Uber driver from yesterday. I told him I was from Canada, and he just got deep into the political weeds with me. And I was like, oh, come on, man. I'm just trying to enjoy my ride. You should have told him you were from
French Canada, and you don't speak English.
As we say in Colombia, Luke.
All right, here we go. Get your glass here.
Arriba, bajo.
Arriba, abajo, al centro. Cheers.
Gallo bajo. Gotcha. All right.
We're going to do it.
Great water. Grapefruit tinged. I love it.
Man, fuck you. How about that?
Wow, that would put hair on
your chest. If I wasn't on the clock,
right?
I would be indulging in this great product.
What is your drink of choice?
I'm a whiskey guy. Bourbon, whiskey.
Like straight up?
Yeah. Usually I make old fashioned sometimes. I have that the bitters and that's like, if I'm winding down after a long day.
Fair enough.
That, yeah.
He's an old-timey type of guy.
Exactly.
But,
I'm an old soul.
He's an old soul.
Jazz
indeed.
music and whiskey.
Very much so. Guys, when I say words to you like 316, I don't want you to say, what do you think of? Yeah. Do you think of Stone Cold E.T.? No, we don't. UFC 316, given the climate in UFC right now, and this will not be a negative UFC program. Let's celebrate a pay-per-view that's coming. Let's have fun. But how do we rate the depth of this pay-per-view, the star power, all things considered? Luke, can we get a letter grade to kick this off?
That's a good one. So I'm going to grade it by like pay-per-view standard. And we've talked about this before. It's one of 2 UFC pay-per-views this month, which is a tough thing to do because one is clearly going to be better than the other.
I think fans prefer good fights over paying because a lot of them don't pay anyway. So I think it's just...
I think this one might be better. Like this main card might be better than International Fight Week main card.
Oh, you're
top to bottom. I'm trying to remember what like I'm talking about the 5 fights in totality.
Yeah, maybe.
You got Patchy mixed debut.
The problem is that main event at International Fight Week is
it's killer.
Is it a B minus or a C plus? That's what I'm asking
I'd
you.
probably give it a B minus. B minus.
Bron, would you agree on
I was
this?
gonna say it's like in the B plus range for me. Like you got 2 title fights. You got Kayla Harrison potentially. Like
I like that storyline.
She's revived that division. Like I mean, that division was like totally on the verge of stagnation before she came along.
I think she has a chance to revive it.
Yeah, I personally would not say it's revived.
She's kept it interesting because Nunes left. Like if you look at the Nunes era and who were ranked in the top 15, like not much has changed. There's no obvious contender next. Like if Nunes isn't coming back, who's going to get the next title shot? Like there's nobody there. So having Kayla Harrison come in and shake things up, I think has done wonders for, again, what I think a division that was on the verge of stagnation.
Right. I'll give you that she's going to add personality, a great story, and I love that UFC's like trying to tell it through Countdown and embedded of, taking on her siblings, children, and all that. But I think it's also just a great story with her, Olympic background, cutting this much weight. And I do believe she's the bridge to getting Amanda back. Now, I think Amanda would come back if Julianna won too, but I'm saying that's where I think they can really pump some life into not just the division, which has really kind of been down for a while, but women's MMA in general. I think this could be a spike to it, right? Because I like pleasure spiked with pain, and the UFC women are my arrow playing.
Get the fuck out.
Wow.
How can you hip-hop horn that?
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, baby.
You encourage this.
I mean, it's one hot minute. I mean, it's not the best of the Chili Peppers, but
that's the Dave Navarro era.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, listen, I think that I really do hesitate to call this a C-level event because Merab is the champion of one of the better divisions. The matchup can be hit or miss depending on what O'Malley brings, but 135 title being on the line is a significant event to the point that you raise in the co-main event. Kayla, at least her and what she's doing has injected life. And then you got the debut of Patchy Mix in the UFC, which by itself, I think Patchy Mix versus Merab Bautista could be the headlining of a fight night if they played it right.
Very good fight.
Joe Pyfer versus Kelvin Gastelum is a ton of fun there. Now, Kevin Holland and Vicente
not
Luque,
for Mexicans,
it's a fine
great fight.
It's a fine fight to open.
Fun fight.
Yeah, fight to open the main card.
Perfect main card.
Exactly. You gets you going, whets the appetite, all that kind of stuff. So I think there's definitely some quality there. It just doesn't have the wow factor that some of the other cards later this summer has.
Right.
But is there quality? There's quality.
It is the beginning. If I'm trying to find some joy in this calendar year in MMA, I think it's the beginning of an upward trend.
Yeah.
June's packed, and the summer does have big main events, so I'm happy about that. Let's get fired up.
Definitely. All of June, all 4 weekends have sick main events.
No doubt about it. Our main event for this Saturday, UFC 316, of course, is a rematch. Not a rematch everybody was screaming for, but the closer we get, man, I am interested when you take into account the storylines, particularly former champion Sean O'Malley, as we've been talking about a lot leading up to this, swearing off everything from weed to podcasting to jaying the peen. I think that's how the kids say it. I think he was OD locked in against Merab Dvalishvili, who... Man, he's indestructible. He had like the back injury in his first title defense against Umar Nurmagomedov that his team was begging him to pull out of. He just broke a couple toes, I think, in the last few weeks. Either way, guys, when this was announced, people weren't raving. I've come around to it. So from the perspective that matters here, the fight itself, AB, let me start with you. What intrigues you the most, X's and O's wise, about this second chance for Sean O'Malley atop this division?
Well, I think with Sean, he's actually, I think, one of the tougher matchups for Merab in the division. I think his striking, because of how elite it is, And I think his grappling is fairly underrated as well. Like in terms of if you've ever watched his submission grappling matchups that he had a couple of years ago, like he's pretty good in that regard. And I think he's probably only gotten better. So if he is coming into this in a much healthier fashion, he had a torn labrum last time around. I think you look at the odds last time, and it was basically the same odds as it is this time, except flipped. Like O'Malley was like a minus 275 favorite, and the reason for that is
I forgot he was that big of a favorite.
like he was a big favorite in that fight. And the expectation was, O'Malley's going to win. He's going to knock him out or get a decision or something along those lines. Obviously, we've seen from Merab, and you look at his resume, it's like it's absolutely stacked. But at the same time, I think that from a matchup standpoint, like this is an intriguing matchup. I did an article for Sportsnet this week where I went back to the first fight and looked at it from a judging standpoint with a judge.
Which judge was this?
It's a man named Patrick Lingenfelder. He actually invented a new app called like the MMA Judge Analyzer, so you can watch fights in real time and score in real time, and then at the end you look at how it's scored, kind of almost numerically. So like you have like 15-10 for this person, and then you have a minute by minute break, or actually it's more of a second by second breakdown of where you weighted those rounds. So it's kind of a cool technology.
So when you went into the lab and rewatched the first one, which I believe I was fairly confident going as high as even 4-1 Merab.
Well, that's the thing.
What did you find out upon applying this scientific, which no one does in judging?
It's very nerdy, right? So I mean, but
yeah, you don't get laid with it, but
no, definitely not.
Yeah, but
anything MMA really. But when you look
unless you're grooming.
My balls?
No, as like a young fighter to marry, you know what I mean? Like a Celine Dion.
Oh, unless you're like just being a sex pest.
Yeah. Back to you, AB. Yeah,
thank you for bringing it back to me on that note. But when you look at it, again, people I think thought it was more of a dominating result than it was. But if you go back to it, two of the okay.
They got you.
Okay,
they got you.
Right.
Okay, they got you.
You guys are crushing me.
Yeah.
If you're listening to the audio version, you're not going to get what we're laughing at. But so feel free to check it out on YouTube. But O'Malley won rounds 3 and 5 on two of the judges' scorecards. And the first round, if you go back to it, it's a fairly close round.
It is.
Now, I think that if you would have given that fight to O'Malley, people would have gone crazy. Like it would have, the sphere might have had a hole poked in it by the fans because of how convincing that fight looked for Merab.
But didn't Merab get 3 takedowns in that first round?
No, he got, I think, 1 takedown.
Yes, he got one, and it was negated, not automatically, but fairly quickly.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the problem for O'Malley is he didn't put too much out in the first round. So,
right.
I think that it's a comfortable round for it's a competitive but clear round for Merab. But that being said, like 2-3 more punches in that first round, like they could have potentially given that to O'Malley based on how fights are scored round by round and the scoring criteria. But you have 2 really dominant rounds from Merab in there with 2 and 4. So, optically, Merab wins that fight. If you're doing pride judging, like 10 times out of 10, Merab wins that fight. So when you look at it again, round by round, very close fight. And I think that this fight's going to be a close one as well. I think that Sean is being kind of overlooked in the same way that Merab was the first time around.
Luke, we did talk a lot about we're expecting a better O'Malley. He doesn't have the torn labrum that he delayed surgery for. Obviously, he's going into mental. He's not going full Anthony Joshua mental isolation, like the 4 days in the dark room where you like. Do you think he has to use the restroom in the pitch black when he does that?
You mean like Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
I'd just be wearing Depends and just let it go.
My question ultimately to you is, how much better can he be than that first time? Especially when you add in now they got 5 rounds of video that they can look back on and try to, that's a smart coach in Tim Welch right there. They're a very good team, the two of them. How much better do you expect to see O'Malley?
I expect him to be significantly better. The question is whether or not that matters, because you would imagine Merab is also going to make some adjustments along the way, and so they're going to play catch-up, I think, no matter what. But, there's just some things about fighting Merab that you really have to kind of come around to, which is, I talked about this, I think, on Monday's show or maybe last Friday's show when we were, like, previewing this. I've been doing a lot of tape study on Merab, and I actually... This is true. I haven't told anybody this. I've spent the last week reaching out to fighters and coaches about some theories I have on how to beat Merab, and like just getting some.
Wow! Did anybody take the advice?
All of them. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. People have. It's kind of funny. Apparently, a lot of people have thought about this.
To be fair, to handle your bag a little, you have had active fighters, even champions, reach out to you.
I did. I had a UFC champion reach out for tape study, so I was pretty happy about that. But in any case, I asked a bunch of other ones, not that one. I asked a bunch of other ones, like what they thought about it and what O'Malley could do. And one of the big things that like they kept coming around to was, if you notice as time goes on, not the first round, right, which was, what we discussed previously, but the other rounds, a lot of times O'Malley gets taken down and he'll hold position with a guard, or he'll spend a lot of time with Merab Merab on his back, not in any kind of threatening way for submission, but he can't build height.
Right.
And if you just time the clock, dude, he's burning minutes doing this.
He's carrying a lot of Merab's weight.
And also, like, if you're doing that where you're just focused on building height, there's just no meaningful offense there. You might be able to sneak a couple of short shots in, but there's no meaningful offense. You can't do that with him. You have to have a game plan where it's attack all the time. Not necessarily like running at him, but whatever position you're in, it's time to attack. And that also has implications for the stand-up department, because when he let his strikes go with some of those kicks in the 5th round, and I know that Aljamain Sterling was saying things like, he fakes that kind of stuff, but after he takes the body kick in the 5th round, he tries for 2 takedowns and he fails miserably at them.
I thought he might break in that moment. So
exactly.
Credit to him for
so my
biting
thought
down.
is like, dude, you can't fight this fight being like, I'm going to protect my space. Dude, you have to kind of throw what he does. You kind of have to match his intensity. You kind of have to, take some risks along the way.
You might have the stamina, though, because that's what he does.
I think if you aren't injured and you're a champion in this weight class, there's no reason. You cannot match no one can match Merab's cardio. But you can have 25 minutes of good cardio.
What was O'Malley's best round in that last fight?
Exactly.
The 5th round.
Exactly. So my point is, you're asking how different can he be? With a better health to get better prep and better strategy, this fight could be a lot different.
And the Countdown show really focused in on what he's giving up from the distractions of where his life was. And I like that he even admitted, like, I was believing in the sugar thing a little too much. I had become the gimmick, he kind of basically said without saying there. And now you're seeing him extreme family man. I'm wondering if that, if the open side of that relationship is off the table now. This is not part of the analysis that you typically enjoy. But,
would that help him in the fight, do you think?
I'm wondering if he's gone the full level of back to like one woman,
Yeah, do you need to crank the hog if you're just slaying the beast everywhere you go?
What I'm really trying to set up here is that Merab really hasn't, outside of the 5th round where he did finally slow down, he caught that jumping knee to the face too, like it caught up to him a little bit. Had he not been disciplined by a striker before that since like the Moraes fight, which was like the beginning of the streak for him? Or the streak of really big names?
Cejudo cracked him. Aldo kind of cracked him a couple of times, but no one's
been able to get him off of that A game, right?
Yeah, well, because everyone's fighting him on his terms.
Exactly.
That's the issue. Like they're all kind of waiting for him to do something and then reacting to it, rather than like setting the offensive tone, which again, hard to do. But
how rare is it to be a come forward guy with that volume and constant pressure and become that responsible defensively? Because when I rewatched the first fight, that's the thing that jumped out for me. It's not just the high guard, which he constantly employed to stop the kind of O'Malley strikes that he's used to landing to set up other ones. It was the darting in and out. I mean, we know it goes without saying he's got, historically great cardio, but he was like never in range. So how does O'Malley get him back to that range in the rematch? That's my question, because obviously that threat of the takedown is a big part of what Merab does great, mixed with the pressure and the constant threat. You're always playing his game. But you have to, not only does O'Malley have to land, he has to take back those terms. And without a wrestling game, it's not going to be easy.
I don't think you can't match Merab's wrestling. Why would you try?
Right. So you're automatically going to be losing some of your stamina because you're going to spend time using a lot of energy fighting off those takedowns.
Again, why would you keep fighting off the takedowns? Put in a little bit of effort. If they go, fine. Reset the terms underneath. That you have to completely reset the terms. And I talk about it all the time. What Corey Sandhagen did against Davison Figueiredo. He gets taken down a couple of times. Did he stay under there and fight underneath? Nope. He inverted and was like, nope, I'm going to go for a heel hook, backside 50-50, and make you react to it. You have to make Merab react. And another part is like on the stand-up, guys will just hold it. They'll hold it, waiting for Merab to do something as he's moving side to side, in and out, feinting side to side. And so you're just not throwing. You're not using offensive volume in that way. I'm not saying you have to walk him down and put it on him. You could wait for him to approach and then intercept him at the point of contact, and then knowing you might still get taken down, and then you'll have a whole offensive sequence. But the point I'm trying to make is any game plan that's going to work on Merab involves hurting him. Any game plan that you can't beat him. Dude, we saw Umar. I thought, I don't know about you. I was like, okay, Umar can match him in the wrestling and can take him down and shut all that down. And then it turns out Merab's takedown defense is fucking awesome.
But I think it was stamina induced.
Stamina induced as well. Oh, it's also his technical.
It's part of his plan.
His technical takedown defense was so good in that fight. You can't do that either. So that is shut down. You have to hurt this guy.
And I think another advantage that O'Malley has, and nobody's had a rematch with Merab yet. This is the first rematch that Merab has had, is I don't think you can prepare for the mental energy that is going to be expended from having to face a guy like that, who is not going to go away, who's going to be on you for 5 rounds, who's going to be in your face. Like, as much as you want to do in training, like, you can't practically train for the mental drain that comes with having to face a guy like that, that's just constantly going to be in your face. Having dealt with that already, for O'Malley, I think is going to be a big bonus for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to know what that drowning feeling is like, and I'm just trying to figure out how, like, is it a dramatic change to his game, or is it just he's going to be 20 to 30% better, fully healthy, dialed in?
I think one of the big mistakes is there might be some real big differences, but in general, at this level of MMA, small differences yield big results. I don't think you need to like completely overhaul it, but you might want a small tweak to, for example, the push kick that was so successful in the 5th round. Let's just imagine something. He brings it out in the 1st. Now, of course, you would imagine also Merab's going to be looking for that for the takedown too, but let's just say he can snap it off a little bit, and that begins to create a chain of reaction of events, sets up other offense, neutralizes the kind of come forward pressure of Merab. This yields big results. So people are like, oh, you got to completely change what you were doing. Well, maybe on the ground. I think on the ground, he does really need to change. On the feet, you got to do what they say, what Terrence Crawford does. What does he do? Ready? He goes, I get active. That's right. He has to get active out there.
He gets active.
And
he
again,
does.
that first round, had he been more active in that first fight,
he might have won it.
Might have won it. And I think that's the X factor from the Umar fight with Merab was, again, I just think that mental energy that you can't account for when you're fighting a guy like that, that's what cost Umar down the stretch. He was just 2 steps behind when the championship rounds came about. And I think O'Malley, again, I think the odds for this fight are off. Like, I believe this is a much closer fight.
Do we have?
I
Can
think
we introduce the 4th member
sure.
of our team here, Long Island, Luke Nocita? We know how he got here. No need to rehash that history. Dad's from Australia.
I heard
it was horned
yeah.
up. One time.
You guys told me before the show.
It's fantastic. Nocita, do you have the DraftKings odds on that?
I'm pulling them up right now. Last I looked, I believe Merab was minus 300-ish.
Yeah, it was 275, I think,
Wow.
last
Yeah,
I
so
saw.
he's minus 285. Sean coming back plus 230.
All right. I got a couple things to bring up here. Merab's striking is certainly not something you need to... It's not a major threat, but it's evolved to almost an elite Khabib level where he's used the awkwardness and he's figured out how to use it to set things up. Will we see any increases in that? Will he have evolved in that area in your eyes coming into here at all? I mean, is it just the fact that it's odd timing and looping shots, or is it the fact that he's just so active? What's the real threat here on the feet?
Yeah, I mean, I think his striking is functional and it's got some value for sure. I don't think it's just like poorly rudimentary and there's nothing else to it. But, you know, you spend a bunch of time striking with Sean O'Malley, and if he's got a different attitude, I don't know how much that's going to mean. You know, I think Merab's key to victory here is to get to the back, control position, ground and pound, rinse and repeat. Or if he can get him flat on his back too, that's going to be a place as well. I just don't think long-term success is on the feet.
He's going to need not only the threat of the takedown, but he's going to need the takedown as well to tire out his opponent.
What Merab does really well, in my opinion, is when he gets those takedowns and he gets control. We've seen in the past a lot of fighters get complacent with control, and I think that costs them on the scorecards because they're not doing much with it. Merab is so active after the takedown with his striking. He's constantly landing, and that's constantly scoring because he's not afraid to lose that position because he's confident he's going to get it back. Right now, I think a lot of fighters, they hang on to that position for dear life.
Right.
And it costs them because they're losing valuable minutes of their own offense because they believe that they're winning on the scorecards just simply because they have their opponent on the ground. Then fighter gets up, lands a couple, front kicks, punches, and suddenly you're down because you didn't do anything with your control. Merab's not afraid of losing that control, and he's willing to utilize his striking on the ground to punish you when you're on the ground and when you're getting up.
Okay. Let me put like an asterisk on that though, because I fully agree with it.
Did you just call cap?
No, I think it's basically correct, but what I'm about to say is a matter of interpretation. This is my interpretation. In that fight, and I think it's relevant who the referee is for this one. Do we know who the referee is yet? Have they announced? New Jersey? No?
Not yet.
Merab stalls. He stalls, in my view. Now, what do I mean by that is he'll get to a control position where he's not trying to advance the position.
Right.
So let's say O'Malley's got one leg up, one knee down, and he's got behind the waist, and he'll throw knees to, the thigh or something. Not super hard, but to your point, it's kind of raining down. pretty consistently, but it's not effectuating anything as a result. He'll do this for a minute or more if you let him. And I think that the referee should put a stop to that. This is my personal opinion. My personal opinion is, and I had a long conversation with a bunch of referees about this too.
Oh shit, look at you.
Yeah. They it's not so much Merab specific, but what they say is they're starting to see a lot of guys get to some kind of control position and throw a continuous barrage of what they call busy shots in order to hold it.
Right,
but
just
they're
enough.
not actually scoring damage, and they have no intention of putting the hooks in
But
or
Merab is
flattening
good
the
at
opponent.
leaning the weight, and especially in the clinch, just
Yes.
using those moments to
Yes.
just put that.
But on the flip side of that,
burden
they're scoring more damage than the guy who's on the bottom eating the shots.
Oh,
right?
the guy on bottom's not doing fuck all, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, I think, when you're scoring a fight, matters. But I thought in the last fight, Herb Dean was way too quick on the trigger with that. Like,
I didn't.
Merab would take him down, and he'd immediately be like, get up, be
see-
busy.
I think if you have both knees on the mat and you're chest to chest and that goes on for 30 seconds, you're stalling.
But he wasn't doing that, though.
He was doing that.
He was still landing baby strikes. He was
that.
landing strikes to the side. He was landing
There
little.
was time. If you have both knees and chest to chest and you're punching like this is nothing.
I'm getting turned on by the adversarial nature of this conversation.
You're
Am
gonna
I
jay
alone?
the
Yeah,
peen.
yeah.
You're gonna jay the peen.
I don't think it is nothing, though. I mean, listen.
it's definitely nothing.
When it comes to the actual.
There is no meaningful ground and pound, chest to chest, knees on the ground. It doesn't exist.
He was on the debate team in high school. I
All
want
right.
to remind you.
But it's not that it's not meaningful, but it's meaningful enough that the referees, at least by the letter of the law, aren't standing them up. It's activity. It's not that it's meaningful activity, but it's activity.
It's busy work. It's not activity. There's a difference in my
So-
view.
What's the difference between that and passing? Like if you're passing,
Passing, you're trying to advance position.
I understand, but that's still being busy on the ground. Like that's still in the
you
eyes
can-
of a referee.
So it's true. You can be busy and being stall, and then you can be busy and then you're actively trying to advance. But I think that there's a portion of it's not like Merab is just like and not
Yeah.
moving. That's not the point that I'm making.
Mhm.
What I'm making is he's doing an active version of this, where it's just kind of this, and there's really nothing happening. Now, you
I'll
could
give
make
you
the
that.
claim that the guy underneath, in case Sean O'Malley, should have done more. And I think for his winning chances, there's no argument. He absolutely needs just sitting there and being like, oh, I'm going to wait for the referee to save me. Good fucking luck. You're totally at the whim of whoever is doing that, and they may agree with him, they may agree with me. It doesn't. Who knows? You have to have active offense underneath. I'm just saying, in my view, I have seen Merab go to places where there's nothing meaningful happening, and I think we should be a little bit more aggressive in calling stalling on that. That's
Here's
my
one
view.
thing I want you to weigh in on. O'Malley did a lot of work with Demetrius Johnson in this camp. And we're talking about bright minds in MMA. I mean, there are very few that you'll find that are brighter than Demetrius Johnson. How many different strategic, I guess, advantages do you think you'll have just from working with Demetrius and being able to pick the brain of somebody like that?
Hard to say, but I would imagine scrambling underneath would be a big factor for that. Movement is another big factor for that, like Demetrius's movement in and out, side to side, setting up strikes. All that's going to be pretty relevant. Beyond that, though, you just don't want to take a guy like Sean out of his game. He has to still do Sean O'Malley things. And
True.
I think just picking up ways in which you could create scrambles underneath, ways in which you could, pull Merab into things, that could be hugely beneficial.
I'd like
Again,
you to
it's not a huge change.
Pull
Just
off
small
at
change.
least more than one sip on that drink.
All
I
right.
mean, what are you putting that thing through
Yours
college?
is gone. It's empty.
AB,
Just for those listening.
To close on this main event, O'Malley is going all in, and I love when fighters do that. No stone left unturned, all that stuff. He's still, 31? He's probably entering that second half of his prime, but he's still in it. In terms of his aura and marketability, I know there's a lot of people on MMA Twitter trying to say, well, he never was that marketable, blah, blah, blah. Here's the YouTube numbers to fix it.
Yeah.
Does he need to win to retain what he's been known for as a star fighter in this matchup? Because some guys lose back-to-back to other great fighters, and they're never the same, more often than not,
I think it would be kind of foolish to say yes, just because we know that in this sport, like it's what have you done for me lately? And if he loses 2 in a row to Merab, yeah, it's going to hurt his stock. But if he comes back and has like an incredible knockout over somebody, like, we know how the fans deal with mixed martial artists. It's like, how did you do in your last fight? It's like, that's what you are. That's how they look at these fighters, which I think is wholly unfair, but it's also just the nature of the game.
I think he might move up to featherweight if he
Also,
loses.
something
All right?
you didn't bring this up, but something to talk about Merab here as well. If you watch the reaction after the win over O'Malley, the crowd was, nonplussed for the most part. But then when you watch the reaction after he beats Umar, the crowd really lights up. And I noticed online too that like the way in which he theatrically almost dismissed Umar, it won him a lot of fans. And honestly, Long Island, not too far from New Jersey. I know.
Okay, all right. Quick fingers over there.
Jeez,
it's like if you want to get
just sitting there.
If you need meth, it's not hard to find.
Matt
between
Frivola. Bing, 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 bing.
But what I'm trying to point out is it'll be interesting to see what kind of reception either of them gets. O'Malley's supposed to be the bigger star, and I suppose that he is, but I might venture to say that Merab might get a pretty big pop that night.
And one more thing, and that's a great point. You were in the crowd at Sphere when they fought the first time. By the way, they're just calling it now at Sphere.
Okay.
Like not at the
not
Sphere.
MSG Sphere or the
They're
Sphere.
at Sphere. Some people from other parts of the country are like, I went to prom last night. So you went to the prom. Like, what are you, an asshole?
Or when they say, I went to university.
Yeah, or I have to go bathroom, okay, sir. I mean, I'll third world your ass.
I have to go potty.
AB, the things that Tim Welch did say about the lighting being, I'm bringing this up because the recent Times Square boxing card, which produced like really bad fights, and it was hot in there. It was just weird, right? There's flashing lights with the Times Square. Do you think there's anything valid to that, being that you were there and it's just a different lighting grid than they're used to? At the start of it, then you've got this entire screen that encompasses.
Well, I asked Merab about this yesterday because I said, they've been talking about this. What was your experience fighting there? And he said he actually liked the lighting better at the Sphere. He said he wished the lighting was like that in all of his fights because he said he could see his opponents so clearly.
Really?
He also said that he could hear his corner so much better at the Sphere because there's only one side of the Sphere had the fans, right? Because it's a theater setup. And he said he loved it. He said that in the fifth round, had he not been able to hear his corner and John Wood so clearly, might have ended up, taking undue risks that he didn't need to take because his corner was like, you've got this fight, just, don't do anything silly.
Yeah.
When he was getting hurt, just like they were basically saying, get away from him, that helped him. So I think it's based on what your experience is in that fight and in that moment. So maybe the lighting was bad for O'Malley, but Merab said the opposite. He said he thought the lighting was better than any other fight that he's had.
That's weird.
This is the central question about the improvements that O'Malley wants to make. How many of them are like, oh, I can change this, and it's a real improvement, versus how many of it is something he's telling himself is an improvement, but it's no real actual change.
Well, he needs an extra gear, which he didn't have last time. Maybe he thought the fight was closer than it was, but he didn't have that extra gear. I know he hurt him in the fifth. I know that was a surging moment for him, but I didn't see that like electricity to him the whole fight. Merab had taken that from him. Merab's style is so taxing and demanding. Prediction time, or which way are you leaning, or anything you're willing to go on record to say if you're a real man and you're willing to talk like men do.
Willing to just say reckless, dumb shit.
Merab, by close and possibly even contentious decision, is where I end up. I think O'Malley will be better, but I think the same equation O'Malley is facing against Merab is a problem for him in either situation. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get physically taxed fighting Merab. Umar was not the same Umar once that gas tank started to slip. I just feel like it's inevitable. It'll be a little bit closer, but we're going to see almost a repeat of the first fight, just a little closer.
That's kind of where my head is at, too. I mean, usually when there's a change in a rematch, it's either something went terribly wrong with the judging or the refereeing in the first one, and they book an immediate one, and then there's the change you expected. But if something was, again, one side is a little strong, but, fairly clear who the winner was, and then they're booking a rematch 10 months later, one guy was active during that time.
Yeah.
Hard to pick against
Momentum matters. Momentum matters. And right now, Merab, who's going to try to close this year with 4 title defenses in 1 year, which would be an awesome, historical note for him to have. He's pound for pound ranked. He's badass. He's all that. Does he get it done a second time?
I'm gonna go with O'Malley this time around. And
Whoa!
I don't think.
Whoa!
Jeez, all right. I don't think that KO is off the table either. I think that if
wait,
I
this
think
man's indestructible.
I understand that, right?
He's been stopped before.
I know, but even Moraes couldn't get him out of there after
I don't think he's been stopped by KO. Or
no,
TKO,
not by KO,
yeah.
just by
that weird Ricky Simone submission, which I still don't really get. But
he was out, I guess. Whatever.
I mean, it's Mark Goddard. I don't want to question the guy. I think he's the best ref we've got right now. But I just think that O'Malley has more ways to win this fight, to be honest. And I think that when it comes down
more ways to win, I get that Merab's not a finisher, so maybe the more
that creates danger.
Yeah, I think that O'Malley, if he can make Merab start to think a little bit more in this fight, maybe hurt him early, I think he can switch the tide of the fight quickly. And I think that Yeah, again, I'll just go out on a limb. I think that O'Malley
Interesting. I like it.
can, especially with it being a rematch, like all of these different things are taking me more to that
He
side.
would regain his aura real fast.
Yeah,
Also,
I agree.
something to be interesting to like consider is O'Malley could lose like the first 3 rounds, but then hurt him badly in the 4th, and then finish him off in the 5th. Like it's not one of these things where he has to win a bunch of rounds. Oh, he's got to bank rounds early.
Right.
Maybe he doesn't have to bank rounds at all. Something
I
to
don't
think
know,
about.
dude. This dude doesn't. Injuries don't slow him down like nothing.
Yeah, it's hard to go
slows this
against
guy
Merab.
down.
He's the machine for a reason.
He's
Been a
just the
machine.
momentum, I think, is key.
Yeah.
The
And
names he's
I
putting
agree.
together. I mean, it has been absolutely incredible. Long Island Luke, you have anything to add on this main event?
50-45, Merab.
All right.
Oh, I mean,
wow.
long.
Wow.
You're in what? South Shore, North Shore?
Yeah,
What's
can you remind me where
North-
Merab used to train?
North Shore, baby.
What city was it? Where did Merab used to train when he lived in these parts?
Garden City.
Where was it?
Garden City, Sarah Longo.
And that's kind of near Long Island, right?
It's on Long Island.
It's on Long Island.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it might be a bit biased.
He's
is
an
all I'm saying.
adopted Long Island brethren.
What's the Long Island equivalent in Ontario? They have like a, just this strip of land where it's like at the tip of it. If you go tip to tip, it's rich, but everything else, as you go down the veins of the shaft, it gets. Doesn't it get worse until you
maybe like Port Credit. Shout out to Port Credit, Ontario.
Oh, I thought you said poor credit. I
No,
was like,
Port
yeah,
Credit.
I'm like they
Port
have that there
Credit.
too.
I had that
but
in
yeah.
college, buddy.
Hey, put the camera on me, please. I have something to tell you. Hey, this podcast is sponsored by Total Wireless, all right? The official wireless partner, by the way, of the UFC. When you're streaming the fight or sharing those takedown highlights, you need a wireless provider that keeps you close to the action. And with Total Wireless, you're covered by the Verizon 5G network, baby. So you don't have to worry about your connection being knocked out in the biggest moments of the fight. So it's not something you can usually say about a wireless provider. They got my back, right? No, Total Wireless literally has your back. They are in your corner for every second of the day. You'll never miss a thing. They keep you covered for $25 a month for 4 lines, people, without, sacrificing the essentials like speed. With Total, you get unlimited 5G data so you can stay ahead of the action and keep up with every KO. Ain't that right, Luke?
That's right. Total Wireless also understands you can't afford surprise blows any more than your favorite fighter can. That's why the price is guaranteed for 5 years, taxes and fees included. The best fighters don't make it to the octagon alone. They have all-in support along the way, and it shouldn't be any different for you. So visit TotalWireless.com or visit your local Total Wireless store to learn more about how Total Wireless can be in your corner. 5G access requires a 5G-capable device and a 5G service area. Monthly rate on the Total Base 5G Unlimited plan for new subscribers applies only to the monthly rate for your plan. Additional terms apply. See website for details.
Very well done right there. Hey, let's go to the co-main event. Also, a bantamweight title fight. This time, chicks. 2 chicks at one time in the cage in Saturday's co-main as the 2-time champion. But in my opinion, the rightfully maligned Julianna Peña, who's got that fighting spirit. How many elite wins should somebody have to be a 2-time champion? How many?
Elite wins?
Elite wins. She has 1, and the champ was
But
hurt.
How
all
many
right?
opportunities did she have? I guess she fought Shevchenko, but how many opportunities did she have to have elite wins?
Well, that's the point, though. Like, if you're not good enough, you won't get opportunities.
Right.
to
But,
have elite wins.
okay, well, let me rephrase that. How many fighters in the women's bantamweight division could
would
have produced?
qualify? Yeah.
Right,
would
but
have qualified as
she
an
had
elite winner.
2 title shots that were unwarranted, in my opinion. Both of them, given the time off of the second one, and then the first one she hadn't beaten anybody. She beat Sarah McMahon barely. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
Luke,
I mean,
okay?
listen,
That also plays to my lack of elite
Well, that's probably
qualifying elite.
It's probably why the
victories.
odds are insane here as Kayla Harrison in her 3rd UFC fight looks to climb the mountain, become the champion at 135. Long Island Luke, according to DraftKings, are we still at like minus 500 for
Higher.
old Kayla?
We are
Like
at
700, I think now.
minus 750,
750.
and plus 525 back on.
Okay.
Wow.
Style-wise, fighter-to-fighter-wise, they're telling you Kayla should and will handle the business with ease. How much should we focus on the storyline of the 135 cut? She won 2 gold medals in judo at 171, fought at
172.
fought at 155, fought at 145 once, and is now literally peeing blood in the hospital the week before the Ketlin Vieira win. And she got beat up a little bit in there, but she got through the storm. It was a good experience builder. How much Aaron Bronsteter should we care/focus on this 35-year-old woman really pushing her body to the limit just to show up?
I think she's 34, so I don't want to age Kayla more than
I think
we need to.
Yeah, I think she turns 35 in like a week or 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, either way, I think it's obviously it's something worth discussing. I mean, she's done it twice, ever, right? And this is her third fight at 135 pounds. She's never made a 35 flat. This will be her first fight at 135 pounds flat after, like you guys said, competing at 172 in judo, 155 in the PFL, 145 occasionally. She's had to change her entire life in order to do this. But even with a diminished product, will that still be enough to beat Julianna Peña? And I think the answer is most likely. I
guess I'm asking are the potential weight issues, which could play into stamina, could play into anything, and it may not even be a thing, by the way. But is that the only way she could lose in your eyes, or is there in this matchup? Are people not looking? Because obviously nobody except for Luke kind of half 50-50 was giving Peña a shot against Nunes the first time, rightfully so. She pulled off one of the greatest wins in human spirit history. Okay, I do think there's an asterisk after that rematch when we saw Amanda fully healthy. Whatever. Is there part of Kayla's game, like when Pacheco upset her in their third meeting, that can be solved by Peña here?
Well, I think that the big question is when this gets down the stretch into the championship rounds, will that 135-pound version of Kayla Harrison have the cardio to hang on if you've got a Julianna Peña who's going to be in your face? And I talk a lot about that with Merab, the mental energy that it takes that you can't really account for when you have a championship level fighter in your face, pushing the pace on you, landing strikes, again, putting out offense. And that's what Julianna Peña does. Like, she doesn't go away. Like, you have to get her out of there. That's the thing that interests me the most about this fight is, like, when we get into rounds 4 and 5, if Harrison hasn't gotten a stoppage or Peña has gotten a stoppage, if that's what it comes down to, what is Harrison going to be able to do to maintain that sort of composure?
Luke, what might, as I take this shot of Cuervo Blanco, thank you very much, what might rounds 4 and 5 look like if they get to that point?
Man, it wasn't like I thought Kayla looked super depleted in the third round against Ketlen Vieira. I thought she looked, for the most part, still with it. Now, that was a round she was able to get another takedown in, so she wasn't exerting an enormous amount of energy there. But, she looked fine, so I'm not so sure she's going to fall off a cliff in the 4th or the 5th unless she's getting busted up on the feet earlier, in which case all bets are off.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And one of the things that really comes to mind for me is Kayla is sacrificing speed and explosivity trying to get down there. Like, she moves in slow motion, not because she's a bad athlete, far from it, but because it's such an absolute murderous.
Well, slow motion kicked the shit out of Holly Holm, and I'm not even sure Peña beats this version of Holly Holm. I'm just being honest with you.
You seem pretty down on Peña. I mean, I'm picking Kayla quite clearly, but you don't give Peña any chance.
I'm just serious. I've always
understand something.
Great cardio and chin. Great cardio and chin.
The reason why Amanda Nunes won the rematch with Peña is because
she was healthy.
Well,
and not injured, and it had actually had a full training camp.
That's really not it.
She only didn't pull out of the first fight, in my opinion, because Dana gave her so much shit for pulling out of the Shevchenko
I don't think that
rematch.
would have changed much, and the reason why I say that is because she was getting lit up with the jab, and she had no way of getting her head out of the way. So in the second fight, by the way, when she was in that same stance, she also got lit up.
Yeah.
She had to fight southpaw.
Yeah, she fought southpaw the whole
time because that was the only way she could control the lead.
She won 50-43. I just want to remind you.
Fine, because she has big power, and then once you take that away, elbows up, and she comes running in like this.
Right,
it's a different ballgame.
And then lead right hook was just picking her off and sniping her.
But I'm saying, yes,
and
was she healthier? Yes. Did a bigger camp matter? She was getting out technicaled in that first fight. You can say whatever else you want. That's exactly what happened.
But is her best win? I'm being serious here. Is her best win like a second market Kat Zingano, or a still prime Jessica Eye? Like, that's literally what we're talking about. Outside of that great victory over Nunes.
Yeah, I mean, again,
there's no tape that shows you that. Look, obviously the answer would be Rocky Pennington the last fight,
which
but that was one
fight.
of the worst fights of all time. I thought Rocky actually got robbed.
I thought Rocky won that fight too.
So I'm saying, the odds makers are telling you that my aggressive skepticism is real. So where's the argument unless,
because Harrison, I don't think at this weight can move very well relative to her real athletic potential, and Peña takes risks and will be quicker. And
I like Julianna a lot. I think that her fighting style is tricky because she's unpredictable and she does a lot of things that I guess kind of overwhelm your CPU if you're not ready for it.
Dude, she has 25% takedown defense, Peña. Not great. I mean, she should probably get taken down and probably beat up. That's probably what's going to happen.
41-year-old Sarah McMahon did do that.
Right. this is probably what's going to happen. But like, if you got a fighter who has an enormous handicap with this weight cut, who has, I think, again, physical mobility issues as a consequence, against someone who's kind of quick and a big-ass risk taker, I don't think you can just dismiss that out of hand. I don't think that.
Interesting. Well, we knew that the silver lining on this, along with the connection potentially to Amanda Nunes coming back, which I think she comes back no matter who wins this, but the silver lining in a lot of ways is the way this could be built. Now, I'm not saying this has been a grudge blood war, but we've had moments at that original kickoff press conference and in the recent interviews, especially when they're on there together, enough that I can refill that shot glass and tell you it might be time for some Cuervo shots fired. This is Shots Fired, brought to you by Cuervo. Now is a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila. Shout out to UFC. They went back to the old school, like, let's put the two fighters on and just have them yell at each other. A little spicy moment here between Peña and Harrison. Let's listen in.
Kayla, you can get with the last word in if you want.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'm not Ronda because Ronda couldn't win an Olympic gold medal. And second of all, you are a great fighter.
She beat you. She beat you, didn't she? Ronda beat you.
It doesn't hold a candle to my career, and it doesn't matter because it's not about that.
She beat you, and wasn't it your manager that was literally saying that you're going to surpass all of Ronda's accomplishments? You haven't been able to do that yet.
I know you've got nothing to lose. I know that you're going to throw the kitchen sink at me because you have no idea how you're going to beat me. And on June 7th, I'm going to put a hurting on you.
Okay. Ooh, I'm so scared she's going to put a hurting on me.
Don't be scared, honey.
So, Luke, it sounds like you kind of are feeling that Peña, I understand, you don't want to just dismiss her. And I did that incorrectly ahead of the Nunes fight. I didn't know,
not like
I
people
didn't know all
haven't
the
done this
details,
before.
though, but I didn't know all the details. And I just think historically you have to add in that Amanda didn't have a full camp and was injured and shouldn't have been in that fight, but she took it, she lost it, she got it back 50-43. My point is, Luke, do you see her waiting to the championship rounds if she thinks that's her best chance and just trying to make this a frantic, high-energy fight in the meantime? Is her whole goal here to push on that gas tank, or do you think Julianna thinks, I can outbox her, I can get in there and hurt her?
I definitely think she wants to make her work, but not up close, right? I mean, if Kayla gets her hands on her and then can lock them, that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem at that point. I mean, the strength difference alone is going to be significant, to say nothing of the technical difference. So it was going to play a distance game, but I think it's frustrate, slow down, stop. Put up some kind of roadblock to whatever she's doing if it's a grappling context. And on the feet, dude, I think it's about blitzing. I think you're going to see blitzing on the feet and not headhunting as well. This is just an area of the game that Kayla struggles with for all these reasons.
Who's a better boxer between the two? Is it the awkwardness of Peña that's going to win out here in terms of that?
I mean, I think, Aaron, maybe you disagree. I feel like Peña can do more with her striking. I don't know if I'd technically call her better.
I think she has the deeper arsenal. I
More
agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, more effective. Something like that, right?
I mean, it looks gross, but it's more effective.
Yeah, when they're out here, it's not my favorite, but it gets the job done most of the time anyway.
I would agree with that, but I also think that if she gets sloppy, Kayla's going to have a good entry and take her down. I mean, and that's going to be the problem. Nunes, I don't think, wanted to lose striking exchanges to Peña and was willing to engage. I don't think that we're going to see that happen. Like, I think that when I'm sorry, I get distracted because they keep keying me with all kinds of weird Canadian stuff.
What was the last one?
It was probably voted.
What was the last one?
Trudeau didn't even run in the last election, fellas.
Maybe they were talking about an earlier election.
Hey, I didn't write this.
I have no idea
this.
who put those together, but they're pretty
I think
brilliant.
the North Korean censors put that in.
But I think that if we do see Peña get sloppy, that she'll get taken down, and I think that's where she's most likely to lose the fight.
And if we can say one thing, like, what's the best part of Kayla's offense? It's ground and pound.
Ground and pound.
Her ground and pound is
and I think
terrifying.
she's got a lot of good submissions. Even if she's of depleted weight, like she can still
she
take
can
an
go for
armbar, no problem.
I noticed in the Caitlin Vieira fight, there's a couple times she could have gone for an armbar and bailed on it just to keep position. So I wonder, at least early, if she'll avoid that. Now, maybe later in the fight, she'll just, wrench into it.
And Peña's good off her back also. Like, if you look at the Sarah McMahon fight, for example, like, she was very active off of her back. And I think that could be a key for her as well, as soon as she gets taken down, throw up triangles, be creative, be crafty from bottom, and try to create scrambles.
I feel like Kayla is not only have the physical advantage, mentally, she's so, and I know Julianna is arguably like the most mentally tough female fighter. Like, she's incredible in that regard. I think Kayla's iron will in that same level. I just feel like I wonder if Pena, who was able to actually break down Nunes and finish her ultimately, is thinking, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen late. So let me just get through these rounds, making it as taxing as possible. But could Kayla get out to a big lead? It's going to be interesting. I mean,
can I ask you a question?
Please, this is what the show's about.
If we get a Kayla like her best performance, right? Makes weight, she'll look terrible no matter what, but then goes out there and just fucking bludgeons Pena, right? How big of a star can she be? Because here's the thing. Even if you want to say that could be a big performance, I just don't know how many of these weight cuts she's got in her.
No, I don't think she has a lot in her. And I think that she's actually, I don't want to say she's capped as a star because now her story is finally getting out there on a higher level. I don't think the star thing is going to go that far. But I do think in her true goal, which is to try to retire as the greatest of all time. She's from the beginning, she said, I'm that's what I'm going for. If she can lure Amanda Nunes out and get a big fight there. I mean, is there any scenario where Cyborg comes back super old and you can get that name on your resume too?
Cyborg?
Or Pacheco gets signed? I'm just saying, like, are there enough couple names in this short window that she can really put together like a strong career that you can close and say, I beat all these people, 2-time champion in PFL, champion in UFC. I wonder. I mean, I think at the very least, this is going to get us, Amanda. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a massive pay-per-view draw, but it's going to breathe life into these women's divisions, which could use that right now. You need star power. You need rivalries. They actually, Kayla and Amanda, have the juicy ex-teammate rivalry.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that a win over Nunes will definitely put her up there. I think Shevchenko is the more interesting name, really, if you're looking at 35, right? I mean, I don't think the UFC are in a hurry to bring back a women's 145-pound division, although if you look at last weekend with Macy Chase on and unintentionally at 145 pounds with Ketlin Vieira.
Yes. Or Macy Barber unintentionally. Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different story. But I think that when I spoke to Kayla yesterday, I said, how much longer are you going to be doing this for? And she's like, people keep asking me this like I'm getting older. And I was like, well, Shevchenko just defended the title at, I believe, 37 years old. She goes, I'm not sticking around that long. I'm thinking that's like 2 years. Like, so how much ground can you actually make up in that time? And I also think the onus is kind of on the UFC to build new challengers at 35 in the meantime. Like, Harrison has bought them time because Nunes, if she's going to come back, that's a no-brainer of the next fight. Now you have to look at some of the fighters like a Norma Dumont, like a Luana Santos, some of the more interesting names at 35 to try to build somebody.
Where's your sound?
Yeah, please. No,
but that's
I don't
the thing.
think they should have made her beat Vieira. I thought they should have realized with the short window of amount of time she can make weight, get her into that title fight right away, try to set up an Amanda fight. But I think that's interesting that you add Shevchenko to the list. Maybe there are a couple fights that would make it worth it to make this weight a few more times. And who knows what we'll be saying about her at the end of it if she defeats them all. But what are we going here? Are we going Harrison by mid-fight submission? Because that's where I'm going.
I'm going to go third round TKO.
TKO? No one TKOs Pena like that.
Elbows on the ground. Elbows on the ground can take people up mighty quickly.
Harrison's ground and pound is real good.
Okay. You got an upset pick here?
No, I'm going Harrison second round sub. But I think if it gets into the later rounds, 4th and 5th, that's where I think Pena can really be dangerous.
Okay. All right. Let's continue on down the card. This is your non-title fight, featured fight, and it will come in the middleweight division. We almost saw it in Mexico, but then that damn country made Joe Pyfer sick. Kelvin Gastelum. So it's not like this is a great fight or anything, guys. But did you see Joe Pyfer kind of double down on the Mexico thing, but also said I was misquoted?
Unbelievable to me that he was like, I don't want to fight in Mexico City. I want to fight in a great place like Newark.
Yeah, which is just...
I mean, why don't you just go fight in someone's butthole?
To be fair, he's from Philly, so Newark is like fighting at home.
Philly is a lot nicer than Newark.
They're both pretty gross.
Newark is
pretty gross. I'll give you that, yeah.
Like, if you know what Newark smells like, why don't you wipe the backside of my balls and then tell me about it? Because that's what Newark smells like. Philly is not that bad.
No, Cita, you interested?
No, but I still want to double down that Philly's pretty terrible.
Philly's gross, dude. Philly's gross.
Philly is so much. Have you been to Philly?
Yeah, I've been to Philly. Nice. I haven't been in a while, but
Philly is so much better than Newark.
I F with Philly, but it's gnarly. It's gross. It's edgy.
It's definitely gnarly. I agree with it. It's got some parts, but also Philly has some nice parts too. Like y'all are hot. Newark has no nice parts. You know the nicest part of Newark is leaving.
That's fair. I'll agree with you on like no one goes to Newark unless they're going to Prudential Center.
I mean, they booed Shakur Stevenson in his hometown and walked out of the arena twice.
Shouts to Newark for that.
Yeah,
though, actually.
Wow. All right, guys. It is.
Hold on, you've been to Newark, yeah? You've been to the Prudential Center?
Yeah.
I saw Kimbo Slice
that's the only reason I've been to Newark.
I saw Kimbo Slice fight James Thompson there. That's a true story.
With that ear.
And Gary Shaw, do you know what the food was in the back that he catered? Hot dogs with no buns and chocolate chip cookies. I swear to God. Hot dogs with no buns and chocolate chip
wearing
cookies.
A tracksuit, full tracksuit on Gary Shaw.
I was like, this is not like the other spreads that I've seen
you know
here.
what I would love if we could get Scala for a room service diary.
Jared Shaw.
Jared Shaw.
Did I tell you the story? So back then there was I used to live in New York City at the time. There was a Circuit City that was in Union, not Union Station, Union, the fuck's
Square.
Square. Sorry, in Union Square. It was Circuit City's all now gone. I wanted to take pictures at the Kimbo Slice event, and I had a friend of mine who I got credentials to go to this. We totally scammed these people. I went to Circuit City and bought like $1,000 camera, and we were like super careful about opening it. He used it for the whole event, then repackaged it, took it back in, didn't even have to pay a restocking fee, and I got all those photos for free.
What a cheater and a
lot of
stealer.
places used to have great, very lax return policies where you could just get stuff, use it for a week, and
I was expecting to have to pay the restocking fee. They didn't even charge us that.
All right.
How about that? Stealing, baby.
Restocking fee is like a rental fee, basically, just for you to use it.
Exactly.
You know, I don't know if Mexican-American Kelvin Gastelum is fighting for that nation in this matchup against American Joe Pyfer, but Pyfer has won 6 of 7. He did bounce back from the decision loss to Jack Hermanson by getting Marc-Andre Barrios. Is he a legitimate future title contender? And is this the fight against a name that gives him some momentum? Because he doesn't seem to have momentum right now. Where are you at on the Joe Pyfer? Do you want to be like Joe Pyfer?
Everybody should try to be like Joe Pyfer if they're going to be on Contender Series and get,
Do you
get
hate
those
your
finishes.
parents?
No, I don't. I love my parents very much. Shout out to Alex and Eileen, my parents.
Wait, what's up with the parents comment?
Oh, he
hates his
he has no
family.
relationship with his parents.
Yeah.
Joe Pyfer?
Yeah, and I think
Why?
his dad was abusive.
Sometimes I wonder if you
recall.
follow MMA. You never know who's dating who.
I have learned to not take interest in their lives anymore.
You have like no idea which guys are actually cucks, and we could do a Patreon podcast together. You know,
The fighters have taken the joy out of getting to know them. He won't agree with that,
All
but
right.
but it has been that way for me.
is Joe Pyfer evolving, escalating to the area where taking him seriously should be our focus?
I think top 10 is certainly in the conversation for Joe Pyfer. Championship level, I think we have to wait and see because I don't think we've seen enough yet to really make that determination. And I thought that the Hermanson fight was a big eye-opener because it kind of fell apart as that fight went down the stretch. And
Hermanson tough and gritty.
Yeah, very much so. And those are the fights you learn the most from, too. Not to mention training with Sean Brady every day. Pat Sabatini's on a roll right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really good camp with guys that are on runs right now. So I think that no pun intended with his trip to Mexico City, but I think that right now we're going to see.
drizzling shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to see. I'm getting
There
BMK
he is.
spirit. I came out of my shell. So
He
I
hasn't talked about Ferro's navel at all. You know what I mean? Manon Ferro, she has an Audi. Chuck in this.
She got an Audi?
You don't remember Chuck in this? Okay, back to this analysis.
No,
Thank you.
I've memory hold it.
But yeah, I think that Pyfer's a guy to watch in this division. I think that 85's coming around finally. It's like it's taken some time, but we're starting to see a lot of good challengers coming up at 85. I think Anthony Hernandez is a guy that could fight for the title at some point in time. He's really good.
Well, the
of course-
Fluffinator needs to prove a little bit after that last performance, according to
No,
the
well, he was great in that last performance.
He was super sick too, if you recall. It was like
Yes.
antibiotics and the whole 9 yards. So
But
we'll see.
you had questions about that. Luke, break my heart gently here. It's a rare time. Kelvin Gastelum, one half of the UFC 236 co-main event, which was the greatest fight experience I've ever just lathered on myself. I just put it on myself like butter, right? It was great.
Like KY jelly.
Like, yeah, well.
Let me ask you a question about that event, though.
KY? Yeah, go ahead.
about the Atlanta event because I've said this before and people get mad at me.
Were you there? Were you there?
I was there.
You were there with Jed Meshew and me, and I didn't
I
even
was
know
there. I was
that
in the
white
back row.
trash guy.
But the fight between Max and Poirier at the time felt kind of like an afterthought.
It did. I can remember tapping
And it's
somebody
such a
and
great
going,
fight.
We'll probably not talk about Max versus Dustin 2 ever again because of how
because
how
I already
tough
watched
that
that
is.
fight. And
But
that
it's
fight's
awesome.
an awesome
It's
fight.
an awesome
but like
fight.
Izzy versus Gastelum was like after that fight, it just felt like you had had a Thanksgiving dinner.
It was 25 minutes of sex, which I've never enjoyed. Never gotten there. You know what I mean? Luke,
I don't even want to do it for 25 seconds.
what I'm really asking you is, Kelvin Gastelum, it's a rare time right now. He's coming off of a win. Shout out to him. Who was it against?
Kelvin Gastelum?
Yeah.
Oh, I looked
He's
at-
actually riding a one.
I think I know who it is.
Who is it?
It was Chris Curtis, wasn't it? Was his most recent win?
No, it was D-Rod, wasn't it?
Oh,
was
D-Rod. That's
Oh,
right.
you're right.
I forgot about that fight.
And look, there's
That was where he like showed up 10 pounds overweight.
Yeah,
or
that's like
whatever.
his way
Yeah,
of
yeah.
handling it. Look, it's probably not going to go well moving forward. It hasn't gone well before that. Can he upset Joe Pyfer here? Is there he's still like 32, 33-ish.
I think he's 33.
He still has a big left hand, but he doesn't move his head. He's slowing down. All those things are negative.
The
right
issue for me is 85. He's just not an 85er. I mean, he can fight at 85. I know he's got some wins at 85. I just don't feel like he's going to do his best work there. Now, you might say, well...
His best work was at 85, though, like definitively.
Yeah, but there's a real ceiling to it is the problem for me. Whereas, I guess the counter to that would be like, well, he went up against Sean Brady at 70 and he got rolled in that one, so maybe the move is back to 85. But Pyfer, to me, is like a real 85er, and he's young. It's not like fighting Chris Weidman when he's angry, much longer in the tooth at the point where you were fighting him. So, I understand why this is one of the situations where, like, there should be a weight class between 70 and 85 if we're actually taking athlete health seriously, although I get that, there's business considerations involved. But listen, he is durable. He's certainly much more experienced than Joe Pyfer. There's no question about that. And at 85, he's not going to be drained by the weight cut, we think. Now, if there's weight issues tomorrow or Friday, I should say.
There will be. Come on, there will be.
Then it's a, completely different ball game. But I just feel like the firepower of Pyfer and the I don't know. I think he's probably much more athletic than him. Should be enough.
Is this the bad period of Gastelum's run where he starts getting knocked out cold?
Well, that's what I'm concerned about, right? Like that to me is the big worry. And I think the odds for this are a little bit off. I think Pyfer's like a 5-1 favorite, and against the guy as good and tough as Gastelum, that's hard to see because I think that means people believe that Gastelum is in the era that you just mentioned where his chin is going to start finally getting checked.
I love him. He gave a lot of fun fights. He doesn't make weight a lot, but I mean, he just. Damn.
He's kind of like the ultimate underdog fighter,
too. He's competitive in so many losses.
Was the last pick on Tough.
Yeah.
And then moves up to 85 and gets the championship level. I mean, you got to at least respect Kelvin Gastelum for everything that he's achieved in this career.
The version of Kelvin Gastelum at 236, true or false? That was a championship version.
Yeah.
Championship level.
I mean, except for that takedown attempt.
That one, he really fucked himself. But so many guys have done that. I mean, even good ones.
Steve Erceg, right?
Oh, fucking Steve.
All right. Luke, I've got something to tell you. Have you smelt me lately?
Yeah, unfortunately. But except for today, where I noticed, I was like, you came in and I was like, BC, did you finally shower?
Well, it's more than that, okay?
It's because I'm here.
It's Mando.
Needs to lift the hygiene quotient.
Mando puts the man in Mando. You know what it's like, Luke. I've been around you. You'd get changed and just walk through the arena, and from that time, you'd be drenched in sweat. You're a sweater.
Remember when I walked from the hotel to the presser at Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley?
Well, this time we wouldn't smell you coming if you got on the Mando ride. If you've been struggling with the heat and humidity, we've got great news for you. Mando has just launched something that takes sweat control to the next level. We're talking about the Mando Deodorant Plus Sweat Control Solid Stick. It's double protection. Finally, you get the odor control you love with Mando plus powerful sweat control. And Luke, what I love about Mando is the versatility. I can do the roll-on. I can do the lotion, deodorant cream. I can do the spray. You F around with Mando, you're going to smell good. And some days a spray day. You know what I'm saying? Some days a cream day.
Listen, for a guy like you,
Gary Sheffield was cream or clear day, right?
For a guy like you who considers coating all of your clothing items in Febreze as a form of showering, Mando is in every way a substantial upgrade for you. It's real, actual clinical strength sweat control, which I really, really love. That's the first thing. And then, of course, it's also got premium ingredients. And to your point, BC, whether you want deodorant sticks or sprays, skincare, any number of different things, all related to looking good, smelling good, and to a degree, I would even argue, feeling good and getting that protection against both odor and sweat. Where else can you go besides Mando? That's the place to do it. I use it. You use it. And by the way, didn't know much about it until this show. They sent us a nice care package, started using it. You know who asked me about it? This is true. Ready for this? Mi esposa. That's right, my wife.
Mrs. Thomas.
Mrs. Thomas.
Wow.
She was
who once rolled with Roxanne Modafferi.
I heard.
Yeah, that's right. That's a real thing for a while. So anyway, it was the seal of approval from my wife that let me know, hey, there's something to this.
Well, if you want to smell great and have ladies looking for you, you should go now to shopmando.com. Use our code COMBAT with a K. Get ready to experience the double protection of Mando deodorant plus sweat controls. All that Luke's talking about. Luke, can you tell him anything about this starter pack? I mean, here's
tremendous. How this is going to go. The Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. That's going to be many of you, I'm sure. It comes with a solid stick deodorant. That's what I like to use, the cream tube deodorant. 2 free products of your choice. You could pick, for example, the body wash or deodorant and wipes, whatever you want, and free shipping. And as a special offer for our listeners, how about this? New customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. That's going to be COMBAT with a K at shopmando.com. 20% off site-wide, free shipping. SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and say hello to long-lasting freshness.
That's what I'm talking about right there, right? I like the stick. Like, right?
I bet you do.
Wow. I was going to say, my wife handed it to me. I was like, oh, chicks with sticks. That's interesting. Men's bantamweight main event, women's bantamweight co-main event, but a very good men's bantamweight fight on this card. Two fellas riding a 7-fight win streak. One of them, Mario Bautista. People don't love what happened in the Jose Aldo fight. The other, former Bellator MMA world champion and PFL refugee, Patchy Mix, who is riding 7 fights in a row, all against like the best names available for him, and a lot of that by finish, by the way, including that dominant decision win over Kyoji Horiguchi. Guys, this is a gift to the UFC bantamweight division, getting Patchy Mix for nothing. There's no trading Mighty Mouse for this one.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of this Mighty Mouse Guru podcast collaboration post pay-per-views?
I haven't watched it yet. Is it good?
Well, they're going to start it. It's a new
okay.
relationship. It's two worlds collide, rival nations.
You know what? I'm going to be an optimist about this and just say that I feel like Guru will start to respect the fighters a little bit more, getting the opportunity to sit and be with a former fighter. I
wonder what Guru's reaction was to Big John Jones' story about the official.
I think it could be like an enlightening period for him. Luke, what do you think of that?
I haven't thought much.
All right. Luke, Patchy Mix is a gift for this division. He's in his absolute prime at 31. We've always said of people not in the UFC, he might pound for pound be the most talented guy out there, even with that ho-hum performance in his one PFL fight against in the rematch, the unnecessary rematch with Magomedov. Luke, should we be expecting, because he's got a tough fight, a guy on a 7-fight win streak. You win this, you're going to get catapulted to the top. Are you expecting instant title contention for Patchy Mix in the UFC?
With a big win, sure. Yeah, I think with a big win, absolutely that's on the table. Now, I don't know if he'll leapfrog Corey Sandhagen. That's a little harder to say. He does seem to be the guy that's in the catbird seat to that point. You even heard Merab say, hey, I think Corey is probably the next guy. Although, Sean probably has got his own sense about all this, But the point being is, we don't see a lot of people signed away from other organizations all that often anymore. And so,
we just saw Kaya Sakura. There's been a couple. I like that the UFC's putting these guys in big fights.
There was a time in MMA where it was happening like fairly regularly, and it just was a big to-do whenever it did. And they're a little bit rarer these days. And by the way, a lot of fans won't even know who he is. It's going to be insiders telling that story. But I just feel like, if he can come in here and do what he did at the Bellator Bantamweight Grand Prix, which was one of the most electrifying tournament runs I've ever seen in all of MMA, I don't know how you can deny him. However, as we've said before many times, he had the one PFL fight where he looked not like all that great against Magomedov, split decision.
But he put him to sleep in the first fight, to be fair.
He did. He did. That's what I mean. That run of that tournament was insane. But then this part of it, it's just hard to know exactly.
It's not easy to get up around Don. You know what I mean? With two ends, Don with two ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly, you can say he's going to be motivated for the opportunity. How about that?
Listen,
Mario Bautista underrated.
Give me an odd line on this.
I think he's minus 185 or something along those lines.
Minus 180 right now, plus 150 on Bautista.
Aaron, is it fair what people? Bautista's on a 7-fight win streak, but Jose Aldo was a step up from the Black Shears. Boom Kelleher said he had been beaten on this build. Does he warrant the people that have just sort of said, F this guy, he's boring?
No, I don't think so. I think if you look at Bautista's previous fights, they've been pretty exciting for the most part. The Aldo fight was kind of a self-preservation.
People are angry at him, though.
I know, people are mad. And they shouldn't really be mad at him. If you don't like the way that fight was judged, be mad at the judges. I thought that was a very close fight, so it's not one where you really... I thought Aldo won, but it's not one where I'm going to get all upset about it.
This is a hobby one that you're going to get all upset about.
No, this hobby one makes sense to me, too. I had Aldo winning that fight. I had Aldo winning that fight. I told Eamon that after the fact. But apparently I do need to go back and watch that one. But regardless of that, I interviewed Patchy Mix yesterday, and you mentioned I guess the question you just asked Luke was can he be next in line for the title? My very suggestion that Corey Sandhagen should get the title shot before him if he wins on Saturday. He looked at me like, "Are you an idiot? Do you not know who I am? Are you a moron? You don't think that I should get the next title shot?" That's how confident he is. I was backstage with Patchy in LA earlier this year when Merab and Umar fought. And he was in such a good mood. And he was like, yeah, I've trained with both these guys. I'd love to see my level compared to them in the UFC. Yesterday, he was a different dude. He's dialed in. He came in with a chip on his shoulder when I spoke to him. And This is a guy that I think is going to make a lot of noise in the UFC. I think that if you were to rank the bantamweight division, you'd probably put him at like number 3 right now, based on what we've seen from him.
I like this respect.
The Bellator bantamweight division was no joke.
Yep.
Like that field was really good. You got Sergio Pettis. You've
Horiguchi.
got Horiguchi. You've got why am I forgetting?
Magomedov, and then
Rafael Stotts, who I'm forgetting. Sabatello. Like that was a good field of bantamweights, and the guys that he's beaten, like they're no joke, and he beat a lot of them in pretty dominant fashion. So I really like Patchy Mix. I think that he is going to be a title challenger here in the UFC, and that he's one of the best bantamweights in the world. And I'm looking forward to seeing this fight against Bautista because I think it's an interesting entry-level fight for him into the UFC.
Can be a big leap, though, if he gets the win, especially if he submits him. A guy on that win streak. Luke, who's more likely in Mix's bed to gain UFC gold first, him or Tatiana?
What?
Like, which of them is going to win UFC
more
gold first?
Likely?
Yeah, but who's? You said what does it have to do with a bed?
They share a bed. I was like, it's not. I didn't make this news up. It's a fact.
Oh, I see. You're just framing it
in
a
have,
very.
I mean, he may have like sleep apnea and sleep in a different room.
They may be sleep divorced. You know, 1/3 of American couples are sleep divorced.
You ever watch those old shows, I Love Lucy, where her and Ricky are in separate beds,
side to side, single beds,
it could save a marriage.
You know what? I have to ask my wife. She wants me to get a CPAP machine. I might have to get that shit.
No, don't do that. Be like, just take the Gary Brecka plan. Just charge it and just.
Gary Brecka's plan. All right, what you need to do is ground yourself and also take testosterone. It's
yes.
like,
okay.
Well, right.
Don't forget about cold plunging every morning. That can help with the snoring.
Yes. Fucking hell. Anyway, it's got to be him. It's got to be him. She had a shot, and it looked like she came well short of it.
She's not done though. As long as
she's not done. That's true.
She can stay
but hold on. If Weili moves up and fights Shevchenko, if there's an interim title, it could be her versus Virna. She could win a title by the end of the year.
I'm not for all we know,
But that's an interim title.
I'm not dismissing it. I'm not dismissing the possibility she could do it. You're asking which one do I think is more likely. I think it's probably going to be Patchy because he should get a win here, a potentially really good one. Although I do think Bautista could very much play spoiler, but probably him. Probably him.
I wonder if Bautista will be too aggressive in this one, just to try to like.
And I've heard lots of stories about him and Merab in the training room and what it looks like when they go at each other. It's kind of interesting. He knows Merab's weaknesses better than anybody else.
Ooh.
So it'll be again. Maybe Sean wins this weekend. Maybe Corey wins the next one. Who knows? But like, if you do get a Patchy and Merab matchup, it's intriguing for that reason.
Indeed on that one. Let's go to the final bout of the pay-per-view main card, and that, by the way, takes us to the welterweight division. Vicente Luque, Kevin Holland. I don't hate this fight. It's going to be action. It's going to be fun. Is there anything at stake here? How would you identify that? Is this just a fun banger to kick off the card, Aaron?
Yeah, pretty much. I saw Luque yesterday, and I said, welcome back to the motherland, because he's from New Jersey. He was born in New Jersey.
Yes, he is, yes.
His dad lives 15 minutes from the hotel that the fighters are staying at. So shout out to Vicente and the New Jersey contingent of his life. But, yeah, just a fun fight, right? Like, I think that Holland is a different animal at 170 pounds. I think he should stay at 170 pounds. And listen, if his goal is to make as much money as possible, take fights as often as you want by all means. But I think that
he's the new cowboy. Well,
yeah, but I think that his level at 170 pounds is so much, like his ceiling is so much higher than it is at middleweight. And I think that he's going to give Vicente a lot of problems with his length in this fight, like he has done with a lot of 170-pounders.
Holland has lost 4 of his last 6, though.
But how many of those are middleweight fights, though?
Exactly.
Who are the losses to?
Rainier de Ritter, Roman
middleweight,
Michael Page, Jack Della Maddalena by split.
So Page and Jack Della Maddalena by split.
is like the champion.
Yeah.
So
Wonder Boy and Hamzat.
To your point, and it was split.
Wonder Boy and Hamzat before that.
Yeah.
Tory Brunson before that.
A lot of 85ers.
Okay. Listen, he can fight up, he can fight down, but I agree with Aaron. He's got I think a very high level that he can access, and I think his best chance of accessing that easily at 170 pounds.
Luque not young anymore. Luque 33 years old. It felt like there were health issues.
He had the brain issues. He had the brain scan
which
issues.
Seems absolutely legit. But he is coming off a win against Garimbo. He's won 2 of his last 3. I'm not asking you if there's a run here, Luke Thomas, for Luque coming up, but how do you feel about this matchup? Do you think he can get the win against Holland?
Holland can fight in disappointing ways, so you can never really count him out. And I thought Luque, I thought he was really done, and that's really not the case. But this is Holland's fight to lose. Holland's got the range. Remember, Holland at both 85, but definitely at 70 can crack. This guy put out Joaquin Buckley's lights up at 85 previously.
People forget that.
People forget that, dude. He can thump. So, and he's got good jiu-jitsu, and he's absolutely not afraid. The question is, like, is he going to fight in a way where he's dialed in and not like fighting down to the level of competition? It's up to him. But like, I think when you just look at like what he's got on tape on paper, you're like, there's a lot to work with here, man. This guy, maybe not a champion, but he can beat good fighters. He should beat Vicente Luque. Yeah,
it'll be an interesting one to kick it off. I kind of like this pay-per-view. I'll say I kind of like it.
It doesn't have that wow factor.
Yeah,
the wow factor is missing, but it's quality fights. And for our first weekend in a month of nothing but bangers for main events, it's a good way to start.
It really is. And that takes us into DraftKings Pick 6 because there's more than just the main bouts going on in terms of who's going to win or lose. You can put a little cashola on there and bring some in yourself. When we look at the DraftKings website and look at the over-unders here, it's all the combined points. We know the categories of like takedown, top control, strikes, everything going on. Statistically, we love the guys that finish early, the guys and girls, and the guys and girls that go the distance and pad the stats. Nobody pads the stats more than the very active Merab Dvalishvili. Luke Thomas right now, DraftKings has his significant strike total at 78.5. You're going to have to go high or low, over, under, basically, on that. What are you thinking heading into this
I'll take
rematch?
The over. I'll take the over on that. I think he can absolutely. Again, we even said it. Whether or not we consider it stalling or not, it's a matter of debate. But, like, he's going to be applying something at all times if they're locked up. And even on the feet, he'll do it too.
So Merab at 78.5. Aaron, Sean O'Malley, 72.5 total significant strikes is the over-under for DraftKings here on this Pick 6. If he has a big day, I feel like this is going 25 minutes.
I'll take the over on that.
I'd like the over on
that. Yeah.
All right, interesting stuff.
I mean, the only downside for both of those is if this fight ends early, like by KO or something, you're done. They're not going to land that in 3 rounds.
Indeed. Kayla Harrison, 68.5 on the significant strikes, but if she can put together an early stoppage.
I might take the under.
Yeah, I might take it. Also, don't forget about Wang Tong back on this one, all right?
Everybody Wang Tong
She has
tonight.
the next highest over-under at 62.5. So, head over to pick6.draftkings.com for more on the rules, all of that presented by DraftKings. It's Pick 6, and you already know that the crown is yours. I'm definitely adding Merab to my Pick 6 team.
By the way, I don't know if you can for that DraftKings promo, can you consider prelim card guys?
Absolutely.
Did that Josh Van Bruno Gustavo da Silva fight? That one's got barn burner written all over it.
I believe it does. Let's speak about it now. From the preliminary card all the way down to the early prelims. AB, give me a storyline you care about on this card.
Well, I think that Kayla Harrison, I think, is the big story right now. And
below the main card.
Okay, below the main card. I like that this Chaos Williams and Andreas Gustafsson fight kind of came together because both of them kept losing opponents along the way. Gustafsson was supposed to fight last weekend. Trevin Giles, I guess, got hurt when he was trying to do his weight cut. And then, Chaos Williams needs an opponent.
It was just part of a disastrous night at the Apex.
Yeah. And they had signed someone else to fight Chaos Williams, and they had a medical issue of some sort, and he had to get pulled out. So the fact that these two guys are coming together, because Andreas Gustafsson is like a madman. Like, this guy is like a Viking. He's just going to move forward, and Chaos Williams does the same kind of thing. Like, this is going to be a fun fight that I'm glad kind of came together at the last minute as a Band-Aid solution for both these guys.
I'm with you.
So that's going to be a fun one.
Luke, Chaos got bone-feamed last time. Bravo choke. You think he bounces back in a big way here against Andreas?
He should. I think he's got enough things going in his favor to probably get the win here. But honestly, just if I can, that Bruno Gustavo da Silva and Josh Van fight. Josh Van fought 4 times in 2024. Now, again, it wasn't without some blemish along the way, but he's just 23. He's already fought in 2025. This is his second fight of the year.
3-fight win streak.
I like this guy staying active. He gets better every time. He's got a ton of natural ability. Josh Van at flyweight. Flyweight needs some fresh prospects. They're pulling in guys with title shots. Granted, they got some choices depending on what happens later in the month between Manel Kopp and Raw Dog. But nevertheless, nice to get some guys on the younger side of the 20s out there doing some impressive things. Still on the prelim card where he should be.
Yeah, but it's a featured. It's a featured.
And by the way, Bruno's coming off of a loss, but before they had like 3 performance of the night bonuses.
Yeah, but he met Virtuoso Kopp. Manel Kopp gave it to him.
But Van is maybe not at Kopp's level, so This is a very intriguing fight.
Does this feel like Joshua Van's getting the push? Is that why could be the featured prelim according to Wikipedia?
Yeah, maybe. I think that Joshua Van is a guy that's coming up pretty quickly in the flyweight division, and as long as he can keep making the weight, like it seems like he's had some problems keeping the that weight down. So we'll see. There's also Quillen Salkeld on the very early prelims. Like, he's a guy.
Whoa! Long Island Luke, he just lost it.
He's an Australian prospect.
That's true. Australian prospect. Quillen Salkeld is really good
at lightweight. The man is 25 years old from Pinjarra down under.
Is that where your dad's from, Luke?
No, I think I think he's from Western Australia, Salka. My dad's from Melbourne.
Yeah, I think he trains in that camp with Urseg.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
How blessed are we that UFC decided not to put this fight as an Apex main event and we just get it on this undercard? Sergey Spivak versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, Luke. That's our...
I actually feel like Sergey Spivak has improved his game enough that I got a lot of respect for him. And, Waldo Cortez Acosta has done okay, but,
Dude, Waldo's riding a 4-fight win streak.
Yeah. But,
He sent Ryan Spann to hell.
He did. I just don't,
All right. Is there Long Island League? You got sleepers. Find me a sleeper on this card.
I just want to say
Azamat Murzakanov.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy he's going against, by the way, has a 10-inch reach advantage on him, Bredson Ribeiro. But
damn, that's Safredi like.
Yeah, that's right. That's Lex the Impaler.
Murzakanov wins that. I wanted to point out the fight that Aaron brought up: Chaos Williams versus Gustafsson. Chaos Williams, not the greatest takedown defense. Gustafsson did get 2 takedowns in his Contender Series fight. I could see him wrestling him there. That being boring, but on paper, that does seem like a banger.
Interesting stuff right there. Is there who's going to make a leap? I mean, we can Ariana Lipsky, don't call her that.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Da
Silva taking out Wang Tong. That's a decent matchup. That's going to be the featured
Wang
early
Tong should
prelim
beat the
matchup.
fuck out of her. What are the odds on that one?
She's like minus 480 or something like that. It's a big favorite.
Wang?
Yeah, she's minus 550.
Yeah.
So that's gone up.
Not that competitive.
Well, De Silva's riding a 2-fight losing skid, but to decent names in Karine Silva and Jasmine from Canada.
Who did she marry that she changed her name?
AB.
Mr. De Silva.
Mr. De Silva.
Steve De Silva.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Paul De Silva. I don't know. But if that fight gets to the ground, she's pretty crafty with her submissions and her arm bars. So
yeah, Luke, don't count her out.
You never know.
I'm counting her out.
I already saw Wang Tong lose. Okay,
that's true. The whole Joker bit doesn't really work for me either. By the way,
not after you lose like that.
Yeah.
But she bounced back. I mean, she looks legit, but she's got to continue to rebuild.
She obviously is phenom on the feet, but you're right. There's a lot. It's untested.
This has been absolutely fantastic. I want to talk shop for a minute though with you, Abron. Man, you are at every pay-per-view card. You get there Monday to kick off the week. You are living the life. What are you in, a little over 1 year at Sportsnet?
Yeah, since I guess I started January last year when the UFC was in Toronto. So that was, good timing.
All right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been awesome. Sportsnet's great. Shout out to my producer, Dan Fernandez. The guy does an awesome job.
Yes.
And, I followed him on Twitter.
Yeah, he's a great follow. And whenever he's with me during fight week, he's always putting out cool videos of things that are going on behind the scenes and clips of the interviews. So shout out to Dan.
Hell yeah, we can check out your work all over. You're at Aaron Bronsteter on
at Aaron Bronsteter, pretty much everywhere.
All right. I need something big from the UFC. I need some resolutions. Can we get the Jones Aspinall thing figured out, please?
Well, I'm pretty bummed out we're not getting Ilya versus Islam. Like
this man. Thank you.
I'm pretty bummed out
for
about
saying
that
what needs to be said.
That is the best fight you can make skill wise right now in UFC.
It's just a bowl of sex,
and it was there.
I'm not hating on it.
It was right there. But I also think though, Ilya versus Charles Oliveira is about as can't miss of a fight as you could book in MMA. Like. Is there any chance that fight could be bad? That it's not going to be crazy for as long as it lasts?
No, it's going to be great. At least we're getting
that. I mean, that's not a bad consolation prize.
I hadn't had an experience with him, but I did want to throw an RIP out to Jordan Breen, who's been getting a lot of love, who passed away, an innovator in the MMA podcast radio space, among other things, a brilliant mind that I've read about. Luke, do you have a long history back in the day?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it here.
Okay. Thank you.
No, I don't mean to. I'll probably talk about it on my live chat tomorrow. But
hey, tune in, folks. Bring your cash.
But terrible situation.
Yeah.
But easily one of the most brilliant minds in all of combat sports I've ever spoken to, and it was great to work with him. I was actually looking up old emails that he sent me yesterday, so I don't want to talk about it. It's a little hard for me.
That's okay. I got you. Also RIP John Brankus of Sports Science and Mike McCallum, the body snatcher, and Leo Santa Cruz's dad, Jose. All right.
How did he die? Do we know?
He had cancer. I don't know if that is I don't know.
That's officially how he went.
Yeah. But
well, I'm glad we're ending this on the worst possible,
the most somber note possible.
I had to send a tribute.
Do you have AIDS?
We should clean the palate. We should clean the palate here. How many OnlyFans subscriptions are you up to these days of just UFC fighters?
0.
Okay.
Same as Luke, from what I would guess. I mean,
not my scene.
All right.
What about you, fuckface?
I'm a married man.
Why ask the question?
The whoever smelt it dealt it. Is that where you're going with that? Luke Thomas, we have a couple minutes left here to just talk about the great, like, do you have anything to say? You look mad. I mean, we have a new merch website. morningcombat.shop is where you can grab your merch right friggin' now, okay? You want autograph posters? You got them, all right? Check that out. Some of these items are limited edition. Shout out to Long Island Luke on the back end. Yeah, and Average Joe, among others. We're back. We're back.
I showed you guys on my phone that the posters were sold out, and Long Island Luke's like, no, they're not sold out. I was going to give you guys major props because like the website came out, and I don't know if it's because I'm in Canada.
People hit me up about
it said that they were sold out, and I was like, wow, shout out to those guys. They're massive.
Yeah,
we're just lying. We're just lying.
But we've been moving some products.
Creating FOMO.
So,
we did move products.
Everyone out there who are supporting us in this manner and want to represent MK, thank you so much. We definitely appreciate it.
I like that shirt you're wearing.
Thank you very much.
I actually bought that same shirt, I believe, from my friend Dan Tom, who
shout out to Contenders.
Shout out to Dan Tom. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I feel real bad, bringing down the mood. You want to talk about breast implants in women's MMA at all?
Not really.
Right.
How well do you sleep in hotel rooms?
Not bad, actually. I do okay because I have a white noise app on my phone, and I use that because usually you hear all kinds of noises outside.
Can't do it
I fell asleep at like 10:15 last night, or like 10:30. It was pretty amazing because I had to get.
If I don't have drugs, I can't do it.
No.
I mean like prescription drugs.
No, I understand, but I mean, yeah. Well, what's the hang up?
Anxiety.
Yeah.
I have to sleep now with earplugs in, a nose strip, and now.
And the mask.
Wow, that's the 80s equivalent of when you had like the braces so bad that you had like the
I mean, it's like literally like the only thing missing is like shackles, and you could take me to Guantanamo Bay.
Yes,
I mean, that's
yes.
truly what I have to do.
And on airplanes, that's a no go for you, I imagine?
Not possible.
I got a Pluto pod, and I'm loving that thing.
If I'm really tired, and this used to happen with Showtime every once in a while, if I'm really tired and I have a first class seat where I can like really lay out, I can maybe catch a couple Z's.
Mm-hmm.
But if they've got me back with the Long Island donks back there at the North Shore,
that was unnecessary.
Just catching crab lice and fucking COVID.
Shout out to Northport, Long
Sleeping
Island.
like a baby back there.
I bet you are high as balls with all that marijuana in your tummy.
I'm also like 5'8", so on an airplane, it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
like,
no,
you're
it's
a
tough.
bigger guy.
It's tough. We would go on the road. I would come back. You go back to your family wrecked as shit after all that?
Always. Travel kills me. I don't think people like get the the rigors of travel.
I didn't understand when people would be like, "Oh, I'm tired when I travel." When I was like a teenager, I'd be like, "How?
Why?
You're just sitting,
you're sitting
from
on a
one
plane.
place to the other." No, it wrecks your shit.
Dude, you could. I landed in Vegas last weekend, and I just randomly had a hangover for a day and a half without drinking any alcohol.
That's how it feels.
That's
it
what
just feels
that's
like
what the
crushed.
But those are first world problems because we're living the dream, the three of us.
I felt like, especially in my 40s. Like once I hit my 40s.
How old are you now?
43.
Yeah, okay.
But like it really started to affect.
We're living the dream,
bro. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's different when you get over 30." Not really. Not if you take good care
I got
of yourself.
more
Not
complaints
really.
for you.
40.
Oh yeah. Everything just sucks.
Everything.
Program reminder: we will not have a show this Friday. Right, you're watching the Friday episode right now. Thank you to Cuervo for all things UFC 316 pregame preview. You can follow the show right there. But can I get 10 seconds of your excitement level on Saturday's top-ranked boxing card? Keyshawn Davis making the first defense of that WBO lightweight title against Edwin De Los Santos at the Scope.
I'd say a solid 8 out of 10.
Dude,
Pretty high.
Keyshawn told me he's going to walk through him and knock him out. And Edwin's the puncher of the matchup. Let's go.
Let's
go.
What's with all these like tune-up fight guys winning this year in boxing?
Yeah,
like I've noticed that
all
these guys that are like expected to win so they can set up the next fight are losing.
Also,
it's a nightmare for boxing.
It worked out for UFC. They had Kayla and they had Julianna.
They have a different level of control over that.
Well, fair enough, but the plan didn't fail. Like they had them, they could have just put them together, and they didn't, and now they are.
Unlike
and it worked.
McGregor Chandler, that didn't really work out for them. But yeah, it's been a wild year in the box. It's going to be a good fight this weekend. I'm ready. Abdullah Mason in the co-main event against a live body.
Mason.
Okay,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be.
You seen this kid, Abdullah Mason?
Yeah. The guy's got amazing footwork.
He looks fucking incredible.
Yeah, he's exciting. He's thrilling right there. I had one other box thing I wanted to mention. Oh, did you see Teofimo just pulled out of the Haney fight?
Yeah,
he left the $11 million at the table.
I saw that it was made, and then suddenly it was off.
But that would have been in Riyadh, though. That is not a Riyadh fight.
Dude, please stop putting fights in fucking Riyadh. Please, for the love of God.
Put some fight night, UFC fight night fights in Riyadh. All right, let's go.
You could do that. That's
probably
fine.
Get a more active crowd than the Apex. But although they're making changes, right? Making changes.
What have you heard about that?
About what, the Apex?
Yeah,
it's been under construction for months, so they're building it out so that they can have like, I think it's like triple the amount of people that they have now.
Many, what would be like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? What do you think?
They basically want it so that you can walk up to the box office and buy tickets there, and there's going to be enough for people because And they also want to accommodate family and friends and things like that too. So they're building
Zuck,
it out, and they've been working on it. It should be ready, I think, relatively soon.
I mean, Zuck will rent that shit out in a heartbeat. You know?
Yeah, fuck him.
Do you think he should join that Imperial March before the main card of the main events? When the whole do you think he should replace Kid Rock or Tucker Carlson in that lineup?
Oh my god.
Well, replace Elon's out, so I mean,
Elon. Oh, that's right. That's right. Elon's out.
Pretty simple fix.
Out for X, in for Threads,
Yo,
baby.
is Elon? This is very equivalent to when BGL was on the outs on the Shab Reddit sphere, and then suddenly like was sharing all the secrets of the inside and stuff.
Who the fuck is BGL?
I didn't know if you were
I have no clue
versed on the
either.
homeless cats or not. But I will say that it is reminiscent of that. It's very interesting. Wow. Yeah.
All right, we can. This is finished.
We had a good run though today. We definitely had a good run today. Thank you to Cuervo. Thank you to you, the viewer. Thank you to one Aaron Bronsteter of Sportsnet. Just one of the nicest gentlemen in the world today. Aaron, do you have anything else you want to pitch? You got
How can people get your work on Fight Night?
Just on all the different social channels. If you go to aaron.report, it's my website that just links to all my stuff.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Super easy.
All right. For the great Aaron Bronsteter, for Long Island, Luke Nocita, pitch your weed
bullshit ass podcast.
Yeah.
Join me on Main Card Minute this weekend. Full card watch along. Thank you very much. And buy some merch. Morningcombat.shop.
Morningcombat.shop. Shout out to Gaff, by the way, of the Main Card Minute. For LT, AB, and the old BC over here, and Nadir and Ken. Ken's back, baby. Ken is back.
He ain't sober. But he's
yeah. This has been Morning Combat. Enjoy. We love you. Take care of yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.